Now it's time for Mary Rowlandson and her captivity narrative. Here goes a title page from a publication of this narrative in the 18th century. It was originally published in 1682. You can see that this one was published in 1772. She was very popular throughout the 17th century and into the 18th century, and then even into the 19th century. Her narrative has been really popular. Immediately, it was a bestseller, doing very well in America, and then also in England. The image here is really kind of primitive and bizarre, and it doesn't really match the narrative itself, but it's intriguing. That's there, so if you want to comment on that, that would be fine. I want to point out a little bit about the beginning of the narrative. I'm not going to go too far into it. You're going to read it, and you'll do some posts on it. This is on page 257, and so this is where the narrative proper starts. Our edition doesn't have the preface that was originally published with it, and that preface emphasized that Mary Rowlandson was not trying to disturb the patriarchal authority of the colony, that she was a properly humble wife, and that she wanted to share her narrative to benefit other people. But she wasn't really trying to, as the preface writer says, thrust herself into public view. And so let's look at the first few sentences here. On the 10th of February, 1675, came the Indians with great numbers upon Lancaster. Their first coming was about sunrising. Hearing the noise of some guns, we looked out. Several houses were burning, and the smoke ascending to heaven. And the first thing we notice is she has inverted syntax right here. She doesn't say, the Indians came. And so this sentence reversal, inverted syntax, seems like it gives the narrative a sense of higher structure. It sounds a little bit almost like she's writing some opening to an epic poem or something like that. Also, it's significant that it is sunrise, and they did fall upon the town during sunrise, but it seems like it's as if the apocalypse is happening, especially the way that there's so much death surrounding her. In fact, people are going around with axes in their heads. One guy gets cut open right here. It's really disturbing and graphic imagery. And the natives are described in animalistic terms, like pretty much like demons or wild animals devouring the Christians. And so it was a really bloody, terrible war, King Philip's War, which started in 1675. And another thing I want to point out, there's a little section here where her sister is pointed out, and this is just a little thing I just want to note. So this is page 258, and she says about her sister, "More than 20 years have I heard her tell how sweet and comfortable that place was to her." And so she's talking about her sister had been converted 20 years ago, and she talks about how the sister took this scripture to heart. And so she's talking about her sister's conversion narrative. It's almost like she's maybe a little jealous that her sister had such a powerful conversion experience. And we can read this narrative as a way for her to feel, for Rowlandson to feel, that she has gone through a major religious experience. God has taken her, tested her, and given her wisdom and brought her deeper into the Christian fold through her experience. Also, there's a sense that the Christians, the Puritans, have been messing up in the colonies, and so the natives are getting used as a weapon by God to punish the Puritans for not doing so well. But then, when the tide changes, she implies that it's because God has decided that the Puritans are now penitent and properly religious, and so he will now help them. Here's a little part, too, that is pretty intriguing. So I'll read the little passage. There was one that was chopped into the head with a hatchet. This was an Englishman, and stripped naked, and yet he was crawling up and down. It makes you think of something like The Walking Dead. It really is a disturbing graphic image. It is a solemn sight to see so many Christians lying in their blood, some here and some there, like a company of sheep, torn by wolves, all of them stripped naked by a company of hellhounds, roaring, singing, ranting, and insulting, as if they would have torn our very hearts out. And so, pretty disturbing, graphic kind of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna sign off now.